Welcome to Behind the Flag Podcast, sponsored by Get It Right Enterprises. Come on, join the crew and take the field during Friday Night Lights. We will learn from experienced guest presenters and mentors that will help you become a better football official, providing the tools to put you in the correct position to make the right call. Raise your officiating knowledge and strive to become the best football official and expert in National Federation High School rules. Learn the art of film breakdown, mechanics, and philosophies. You know, every year we have an entire off season to get prepared. But in season, you only have one chance to get it right.
All right, good afternoon. We're back. Here we go with number 39, Umpire Five-Man Mechanics, or Five-Man Crew Umpire Mechanics. Ken.
Dennis, are we really at 39 already? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's higher than you could count.
Pretty much. That's why I'm not a referee. I'll tell you that.
Yep, number 39. Tonight we have Leonard Longhorn. He is a New Mexico Officials Association football umpire, referee, back judge, line of scrimmage. He does all 5 positions. He's also the Northwest Regional Football Signer. He's also the Northwest Regional Baseball Signer. And when he's not on the football field, he's on the basketball field calling high school basketball games. He is also an umpire in the LoneStar Conference calling junior college, NAIA, Division III and Division II out of the LoneStar. I think that goes from Texas to southern New Mexico to Phoenix, Arizona. So
when does he have time for a family life and to eat a meal with that kind of schedule? Oh my gosh. Hats off to you, Mr. Longhorn.
Yeah, it looks like he's officiating almost year-round with that schedule. So, Leonard, welcome to tonight's webinar podcast, number 39 of Behind the Flag, sponsored by Get It Right. This is the winter 2020. We all should be on the football field calling games, but high school games, but none of us are, and so we're trying to get football any way we can, anywhere we can. So I know you've been officiating a little bit up in Utah in the high school realm up there, and a couple games in LoneStar.
Hey guys, appreciate it. Ken and Dennis, thank you for the invite and allowing me to talk some football, especially umpire mechanics. And yeah, it's usually pretty busy year round. Football, baseball, try to sneak in some basketball here and there. Really, I do basketball to try to stay in shape. Got to look slim like Ken every now and then. So, yeah, appreciate it. You know, segment 39. It's going to be the good one. So let's start off with umpire stuff. Usually, what I usually tell guys who are interested in talking or learning about umpire mechanics at the high school level or sub-varsity junior high, or little league yaffle type stuff is, always, I don't sugarcoat it for them. I'm like, hey man, if you enjoy watching football like you do on the TV, where you watch the ball go down the field, you see the big catches, the one-handed catches or whatever. Probably not the position for you, because we get to look at the big, heavy, sweaty guys, pushing on each other and blocking all day. So, if you're a between the trenches kind of guy, you're that big, studly, mean guy, and you like watching that stuff, then umpire is a great position for you.
Well, excuse me, don't you guys just like set the ball down and then move out of the way?
So that's part of it. Usually we have to correct the line of scrimmage guys on their spots. because give you goofy spots. So, we try to make it easy for everybody and put on a big line or put it on a hash mark. But yeah, really, we're the center. We keep everybody together. We keep everybody in line. I'll touch on that here in a little bit. As far as communication, we're kind of like the crew therapist, because we got to talk to the back judge. We got to tell the referee penalty enforcement, because usually he's the prima donna. Everybody's got to look at me, watch me do my signals, and we do the dirty work, get the ball spotted where it needs to be.
I heard somebody refer to the umpire position as the wheel. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so we're pretty much the hub of the crew. I got that from one of my mentors, Frank Villar, and he talks about the umpire is the hub of the crew. So as far as communication, I'm coming up to my referee. I'm making his job as easy as possible, because when my referee looks good, everybody looks good. So I'm coming up to him with the results of the play. If we have a defensive pass interference, DPI, I'm coming up to him. Let's say Dennis is my referee. I'm like, hey, Dennis, that's an incomplete pass. The results of the play is an incomplete pass, so he knows, with DPI, we're going back to the spot of the previous spot. And, if it's a fumble, whatever happens, I got to know what's going on to relay it to my referee so he can signal and communicate that with everybody. Same way with the line of scrimmage guys. I like to give them a hard time about their spots and things. But, I got to communicate with my head linesman, make sure we're on the correct down. Are we beyond or behind the tape on the chain? Are we long 5 or short 5? Blind judge, communicating. Do we have a first down at the end of a run, end of a pass? If we're close, make sure we're signaling. And I always like to tell everybody, if I'm not hoarse at the end of the game from, being that communicator, then I didn't do my job. So with that, I'm talking to everybody, not only with my crew, I'm also talking to the kids. Because this game's about the kids. So, you make sure they're relaxed. You're communicating with them. Kid thinks he's being held on the inside, watch him a couple plays and let him, talk to him like, hey, he's grabbing you. He's not restricting you. He's not hooking and turning, and he didn't take you down. So, that's part of football. And, you can offer him some advice of, how to rip through it or whatever, but, a lot of communication with your D linemen, the linebackers. I like to pick on the safeties because they're usually little bitty guys, especially in high school. I'm 6'3", biscuit over 250. So, I like to talk to those little guys.
I think it's a 6-pack of a biscuits.
Yeah, maybe a can of biscuits, but so with the back judge, make sure we got the clock status. We're straight on clock status, ball relays, because, as kid knows, those back judges, all they do is relay the ball back into me so I can put it where it needs to go.
Would you call him a blind judge?
That too. So
that's pretty funny.
So yeah, with that, we got a lot of things that we, as an umpire, we got to make sure the crew's, being fluid and we're, flowing through the game as we need to. Make sure we got communication through, and penalty enforcements. Referee knows what's going on. Back judge is communicating, and and then we get to watch the big guys do the work up front. And so, that's the meat and potatoes of it. But like I always tell them, you get to watch all the big guys do work up front. We don't get to watch the skill players make great plays, which is fine. But that's part of the job. And then once they do register and they get get on a crew or whatever, they start coming to meetings. Always try to appoint a mentor to the new guys, or I might try to be a mentor to somebody if they have questions about officiating, and so
as say I come in brand new day one, and I have a middle school game Tuesday night. Walk me through your pre-snap routine.
So, as a first-year guy, if you're wanting to work umpire, I'm walking you through. I'm kind of talking you through. Maybe Monday night after the meeting, I'll give you a list of pre-snap routine. So, first and foremost, you got to count your players. Your umpires are responsible for the offense, counting the offense with the referee and signaling. Make sure you guys got 12. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Some guys, count 2, 5, 2, 2, or whatever. I usually find my 5 ineligible guys, make sure they have their required numbers to be on the line. And then I'll find my skill players, if we have trips or twins. I like to see what kind of formation they're in. As I'm counting them, I'm also checking to make sure chin straps are buckled, mouthpieces are in. Pre-game, I'm making sure they're not wearing tinted visors, knees are covered, things like that. Wristbands are on their wrists, not on their elbows or on their biceps or anything. So count your offense, check equipment, make sure your spots, there's 5 spots on the field. As an umpire, there's the hash marks closest to the press box, uprights, press box side, middle, far upright, and the hash marks, tick marks on the other side, away from the press box. So those 5 spots are where you should spot the ball every play. If it's in between, it's, your judgment to pick what spot it is, 1 through 5. So, if it's a long pass and that offense only has 1 game ball, the ball relay guys or back judges relays it in, and I can relay it to my white hat. And all I got to tell him is position 2, which he should know through experience or pregame that, you put it on the uprights closest to the press box side. So ball position, counting, I can't stress that enough. You need to do it every play. So, whether you're watching football on TV or watching film, as soon as they get ready to break the huddle, you need to be counting players and getting in that habit. So, you're watching a Monday night football game, as soon as they come in line, start counting your players. That way it becomes a habit. So then you find your keys. You got your situational keys and you got your positional keys. You got to be game awareness of what the offense likes to do, what you're down in distance. A couple of these plays we'll show later. There's a 2nd and long, 3rd and short, or whatever. What the offensive tendencies are, and that way you can kind of key on which side you're looking for, and if they pull, which guards are going to pull. So you kind of anticipate what's going to happen. So, and really your keys always, think of it as a key starts your engine. So you got to find your keys. Like I said, if it's a short yardage situation and the team's been running the ball good, you're going to watch your key players. Would always call them your tulips, your center guard on the offense, but you're also watching that one technique on defense, or the nose guard, watching your 2 defensive tackles. So really you got 5 guys, maybe 6 if the Mike linebacker walks up, who you're watching. So, and you go with your closest threat. So whoever's closest to the ball, whether he's in a 1 technique or over the center, that's where you want to start out and then work your way out. So with that, I try to break it down really simple for them. First, your first junior high game on a Tuesday, I'm telling them, hey, that first series, just pick out a guy on the line. Pick out the right guard, left guard, or the center, and watch them through the entire play. Get in that habit of watching your keys and not ball watching. Because if the play comes up the middle, you're going to see it and you're going to be able to get out of the way. But if they throw a screen pass or whatever to the outside, you have no business looking out there. So stay on your keys and then work out. So once that starts, you got to have a good view of the snap. Once the center grabs the ball, you kind of where your keys are, but you're watching the center, making sure he doesn't pick up the ball, rotate it. He spins it on the ground, and that's something as the more experience you get, you can talk to your center and find out which way he likes the laces. My game cards, I usually write it down. And I talk to him pregame. So if John for the visiting team likes his laces down, I'll try to remember that and turn them down. And then if Joe from the home team likes his laces to the right, I'll make sure they're to the right 95% of the time. Because I'm human, sometimes I'll forget. But so once you set the table and you get all of that taken care of, it's a little bit easier to start getting in that flow of, plays and things. High school, you want to set up 5 to 7 yards back. I try to usually get about a yard or so behind the linebackers, maybe a yard and a half, depending on what kind of offense you have. If they run heavy, I like to be a little closer to the line. And I talk to my linebackers. If my linebackers right in front of me to my left, I'm like, I'll tell them like, hey, I usually get his name, and that's part of communication. I'm like, hey, Tim, I'm on your right behind you. Usually they'll say, okay. And so that way I don't have to worry about getting run over or whatever. So 5 to 7 yards back, your middle linebacker, I usually tell them like, hey man, you're my blocker tonight. Make sure nobody hits me, or, you're my protection. So, and they kind of laugh, but you kind of open that rapport with them where you're talking, joking, or whatever. So whichever way he moves, I'll move in the opposite. So if he goes forward, I might step back. If he goes to the left, I'm moving right, because just that way it opens up my view and my field of vision.
Hey Leonard, is that a trait of a good umpire, is to have dialogue throughout the game with the participants?
Yeah, I mean that's part of being that veteran official, being that communicator. If you don't talk a lot, you're going to have trouble communicating with the kids, and especially calming them down. You want to get to them before the emotions, before the high impact plays and things like that get into it. You want to build that rapport with them. So if you got a safety or a cornerback who's getting a little mouthy, I can tell Tim, hey Tim, can you go take care of him for me before we have to start throwing flags? And he's like, sure. And he'll go talk to him like, hey, cut it out because these guys are fixing to penalize you or whatever. And so, because usually your best player is your Mike linebacker, your middle linebacker, and you can kind of figure out who on the team just your go-to guy. So you want to build that rapport with them, talk to them. That way, they can police their own team before you have to. And you do it on both sides. You talk to your center. During timeouts, I usually try to crack jokes with them. Like, hey, which one of you guys failing lunch? I heard coach was saying one of you guys are failing lunch. It gets them all laughing and whatever, so they know, you got a personality too. You're not just out there to, throw flags or tell them what to do. So once you get that rapport and you talk to the guys, because they'll tell you like, hey ref, 75, his hands are getting high and it's getting in my face. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll watch it. But you got to also watch it too, so you can watch them a couple plays when, later you tell them like, hey, I watched it and I didn't see anything. And, you know, sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, well, he does it sometimes. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll watch it as much as I can and, you know, then go on from there. So, but it makes your game go a lot smoother when you have that rapport. So even at the next level, you know, I'll do some homework, find out who my, you know, my All-American is or whoever on the team is. And, you know, I'll go in their bios on the school website and whatever and try to find out if he's majoring in anything. And, you know, working for the police department, I'm always pushing criminal justice if they're not declared a major. I'm like, hey, man, you should look into criminal justice and whatever. So, you know, then it, you know, gets you away from football. And, you know, like I said, it builds that rapport and, you know, makes your games go a lot smoother. And that's, you know, and that just comes with experience, because when you first start out, I mean, you got so many things going through your head. Well, I forgot to count my offense. I don't know what my right guard did. You know, he took off. I have no idea where he's at, you know. And then you're thinking about, you know, position of the ball, where it goes, where it comes back to, you know, penalty enforcement. So once, yeah, you get that experience, you know, all of it just kind of falls into place once it becomes a habit. You really don't have to think about it. So, yeah, pre-snap, 7 yards back. Tell your middle linebacker, use your safety net, and try to stay between your guards. I know a lot of guys try to get wide to help out the R with that outside tackle, but, you know, hopefully your wings don't bail too early and can help out with that tackle. And that way you can take care of everything in the middle. Like I said, move opposite of players and know your keys, positional, you know, position-wise, positional keys and situational keys. So do you guys want to watch some film?
Yeah. So
Yeah, let's jump in some film.
yeah. So I just had a quick question for you.
Sure.
Did you talk a little bit about, I guess, the line of scrimmage, and how your position, your mechanics, would work when the line of scrimmage has to leave the line of scrimmage? Officials have to leave the line of scrimmage to go downfield for a pass, or I guess just a deep pass, and there's nobody there to monitor the line of scrimmage, and what the mechanics is for the umpire on that situation.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So, pass responsibility for as far as line of scrimmage, you know, if there's, you know, go routes and it's late in the game, you know, the quarterback's going to roll whichever way to try to get more into the ball or whatever, or pocket collapses, you know. First of all, you got to read pass, you know, if it's a situational thing, or, you know, or whatever this case may be. You know, if your center snaps the ball, pops straight up, and your guard stands straight up and retreat, you know, that's pretty much a pass. You know, and if they just pop up and, you know, don't even touch the defensive lineman, you know, you've got to train yourself, watch film, learn through experience that, you know, hey, a screen's coming up. Honestly, I hate screens, but, you know, teams like to run them. So once you read pass, you want to kind of move up, and your linebackers are bail where they're supposed to be in their coverage. So it kind of opens up the middle for you. I don't like to move a whole lot unless I have to. So once I read pass, you know, my senses come up to, okay, well, you know, I'm watching the blockers. I'm watching, you know, my first initial threat. You know, if they start pushing them one way or whatever, and I see an opening on one side, you know, I'm not a running back. I'm not going to run to daylight. I'm probably going to run the opposite so I can see, because, you know, if the quarterback runs up the middle, he's going to run where that opening is, and I don't want to be standing in the middle because I'm probably going to win that battle. But anyway, so I want to go the opposite, and I want to, you know, your pre-snap read is to know where your line of scrimmage is at. You know, I talk to myself constantly while I'm standing back there, and that's probably why the linebackers think I'm probably one of them. They probably think I'm crazy just like them, because I'm back there talking like, okay, the line of scrimmage is at the 48. The O line can't get past the plus 49. Just things like that as far as legal man downfield. So if it goes to scrimmage, the play breaks down or whatever, and quarterback scrambling, I'm coming up finding the 48, the negative 48, and trying to straddle that line to watch where the ball's released, because I know hopefully during the week talking to my line of scrimmage guys, if they bail, they don't have to come back and watch that. I'll have the line of scrimmage. So, but yeah, I usually just straddle it, and by rule, the quarterback's got to be completely past the line of scrimmage when he releases the ball for it to be a legal forward pass. So if he's straddling the line, I'm letting it go, and it's a judgment call. As far as how far he is past the line of scrimmage, but you got to consider most high school films going to be at the 50-yard line. So either way, if it's at the line of scrimmage is at the 30, either side, the optical is going to push him or make him seem further than he is, or not as far. So, but it looks better if you're standing right there straddling the line of scrimmage, and really focusing in on that. And and it's situational awareness. You got to know where your line of scrimmage is at, because you're that one guy that can make that call, and it looks bad when you're standing at the 50 trying to make that call when the line of scrimmage is at the 48. So, and same thing with screen pass. Hopefully your line of scrimmage guys stay on on a screen pass, bubble screen or something, and your lineman to release. And you got to wait for your line of scrimmage guys to signal whether it's forward or backwards, because the pass is past the line of scrimmage and your guys are 3.5, 4 yards deep because they're just releasing to go block downfield. Now we got legal player downfield, and that's your call. But you can't make that call if you don't know where that yard line is. So mentally, it's a little easier in college because we get to set 8 yards deep, and the yard line you're standing on is usually that IDP line, and then you can find your 5-yard line for blocks below the waist. But high school, it's more of a mental thing to keep mental note of where the line of scrimmage is.
Got it. Thank you. So yeah, I think you said you had some film to kind of go through a little bit and break down some of the key positions. And so I think you should be able to share your screen.
While you're doing that, there's a question in the chat room. With all the duties you just stated that umpires do, why don't you guys get paid more than the rest of the crew?
Oh, we usually eat more than the rest of the crew because we're usually bigger and sexier than everybody else on the crew. So we really don't want the money. We just eat
just the food. That is awesome.
Exactly. We're easy to please.
So I think, let me see here. Are you able to share?
Should be.
So I don't think there's any other, I think, broad umpire mechanics that we could really go into. There's of course other positions like goal line, umpire mechanics, field goals, extra points. Real quick, if you could just talk about your mechanics on a field goal attempt.
So on a field goal attempt, pretty much the same thing. You want to be close enough to the line. Usually when I'm spotting the ball, pre-game wise, I usually talk to the snappers if I can. or in that snapping situation during the game, I'll ask him like, hey, hey, what's your name? If he tells me, I'll try to note that prior to the game. But usually, I like to go first name basis. I don't say, hey, snapper or whatever. But so spot the ball, let him know like, hey, here to protect you. So, do what you need to. I'll look at my white hat and make sure he's set. He'll point me off or whatever. And as I'm backing out to get my 5 yards cushion, I'm telling my defensive lineman, like, hey, don't touch my snapper. Don't hit my snapper. Better stay off my snapper. Just so they get that, they can hear me and they know I'm watching. So, and a lot of times, with these kids, if you just talk to them and they know you're there, they're less likely to do stuff. So I go back for PATs, depends on what crew you have. Usually it's the only time I get to blow my whistle. So I do it the best I can. PAT, as soon as the ball's kicked and it clears me, I'm blowing my whistle. As soon as I'm done with my whistle, I'm telling the kids, hey, kicks away. And I'm walking up, making sure everybody's separated and we don't have any late hits or anything like that. So a lot of it's just being vocal with these kids. So, and as far as say like a scrimmage kick, I'll say the same thing. I'll find out which way he likes the laces, spin the ball where he likes it. As I'm backing out, making sure I'm checking numbers for the number exception. And I'm telling my defensive guys like, hey, don't hit my snapper. And so punts, I usually back out about 10 yards. That way I get a little bit more cushion to see if it's a fake or anything. That way I can help out if I need to. Once the ball's cleared my head, I wait for that first wave of players to pass me, and then I turn, and then usually help out with all the action in the middle of the field.
Is there much difference between a four-person crew and a 5-person crew for umpire mechanics, other than maybe the kickoff?
No, not really. Really, 4-man mechanics, I usually try to cheat to the line judge side. And you also got your white hat on that side, so you're really more responsible for the stuff that happens in the middle, and you got to be a little bit more aware of the blindside blocks and things like that around the ball, because back judges or the line judges back there, a lot of times 4-man crews have newer officials, so they're not really sure what they're supposed to be watching, and they're just watching the ball. So hopefully you got an experienced umpire who will kind of be that hybrid umpire back judge and help out with blindside blocks and things like that. Because really, at the end of the day, you want your crew to look good, and if you need to fish in somebody's pond, it's to help the crew.
Right. Could you tell us where you line up on kickoffs in both 4-man and 5-man?
So 5-man mechanics, I'm at the 20-yard line press box side. 4-man mechanics will be the 20-yard line opposite of the press box.
And what are your responsibilities at each position?
And so on free kicks, I have all the way to the pylon, up to in a diagonal 45 up to the 20, and then
at the 5-man position.
Yes, at the 5-man position, I'm from the pylon 45 all the way up to the 20-yard hash mark, and then you're up the hash to the 35.
Okay.
And so you have that area there. 4-man, it's a little different. You got a little bit wider area. It's more, you got end zone, back of the end zone all the way up to the 30, just in that big block area. Sideline, hash mark, from the 30 all the way to the back of the end zone.
If you're doing your job correctly as an umpire, how tired are you after a game? And are you literally going sideline to sideline? If there's mixed colors, I mean, how much workout is there?
The old days of, the heavier, you put the big guy that's unathletic, doesn't move very well in the middle. Those days are over. I mean, you're pretty much, if you want to be a good umpire, you're going to be sideline to sideline. You're going to help out with, the play that ends out of bounds, helping out with, separating colors, getting the kid out of the, opposing sideline if he runs there. And it kind of depends on your crew. If you got a white hat that moves really well, sometimes they'll help, but you're kind of the enforcer. So if there's anything, players or whatever in an area, you want to make sure you want to be vocal and you want to be right by them, yelling them like, all right, plays over, plays up the middle. I like to come up, holler and, plays over, help each other up, push off the ground, don't push off each other, and I'll even get in there and, help out a kid, or I'll find the biggest kid that's laying on the ground and pull him up just because I like to show off. But, and then that kind of sets the tone with the kids, like, hey, he's in here to, help us, and he's watching. But, you got to be vocal and kind of send back and, be vocal with them and let them know you're there. And then you got to be a presence too. So yeah, I mean, if you wear your Fitbit, you're going to get probably 4 or 5 miles a game, just sideline to sideline, because you're every 5 yards, you got to go, get the ball. I like to be an overachiever. I always tell my white hats, hey, just stand back there and look pretty. I'll do everything else. So I don't let my white hats spot the ball, mostly because they don't know where to spot the ball anyways. My pet peeve is when you don't put the ball on the inside of the hash where it's supposed to be, and they just stick it wherever, that it drives me nuts. So, and I usually let them know about it. But yeah, I mean, you should be pretty tired. And that comes with, if you want to be good at your position, you got to own your position. You got to be the field general during, enforcement, penalty enforcements. Your job is to, put the ball where it needs to be. So I take it upon myself to, get it wherever I'm supposed to get it at the end of the play and take it to where it needs to be. And with that, you still got a dead ball officiate. That should be number one. I'm not saying, run straight to the ball, get it, and then go run and put it back to your spot. I'll come up to a dead ball spot, vocalize, hey, plays over, help each other. You guys help each other up. Good run. Hey, that was a good hard tackle. Way to keep your head up. I'm always complimenting the players. And usually the players will hand you the ball when the play's over. So, if they just leave it on the ground, I make sure, to make it a point to go talk to that kid like, hey, help me out by, giving me the ball after the play. Don't just leave it on the ground. And out of respect, they usually do that. Like, all right, Mr. Official, here's the ball. Or, they'll stand up and look for me, while I work. And once players and colors separate, I usually end up with the ball anyways. And then, I'll wave off my white hat and go put it where it needs to be on the hash or whatever. But I also, not in a hurry where we're not out of position to officiate the next play. So one of my other mentors, Roscoe Meisenhower, is a Pac-12 umpire, and he always wears a towel. And I did when I started out because I can clean the ball off when I needed to. But now with the 40-second play clock, it's starting right after the end of the play. I like to hustle over to my spot, and if my wings aren't in position or my white hat's not back where it needs to be, I look around to make sure everybody's set. Even though the players are probably standing there waiting on me, I'll get my towel and wipe it off like there's, especially with, COVID and everything. I like to clean the ball off, like, make it look like I'm getting spit or sweat off of it. set the ball, because by rule, but once I set the ball, they can snap it. Set the ball back out and be ready for the next play, not hurry up and spot it, and everybody's out of position. Then the snap happens, and we miss a play or something. So yeah, it's a lot of running, a lot of lateral movement. That's why I do other sports, to try to stay active, stay in shape, get some gym time in. That way I can fly around when it counts on Fridays.
Not too many officials want to be umpires because of the physicality of it and the potential danger and potential injuries. So, can you just, those people that are on the fence, could you just give us a couple of encouraging words on, why should we become an umpire?
So as an umpire, you have the best seat in the house. I mean, you're in the middle of all the action. You get to hear all the grunting, the pads popping, all, the feet hitting the turf, and you're literally 5-6 yards away from all the action. And, there's there's a few times where, you get a close call, the ball zipped by your head by, the RPO pop pass or whatever, but, that gets your adrenaline going. It heightens your senses to be ready for things like that. Luckily, I haven't been hit by a pass, but I've had a couple zing by my head. Had some, big tight ends at the next level run by me, and you can feel their jerseys hit your arm or whatever as they go by you. But that really gets your blood pumping. You're not worried about getting run over, getting hit. High school running backs sometimes, they run with their head down, they come through the middle, and you don't know which way to go. And there's times where they might glance off of you or whatever, but as you move up, the player's skill level moves up. So if you just be still, they'll cut off of you, and the defensive players will go around you too. So, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's where the action is. And you don't have to listen to coaches crying on the sideline. You get to talk to, the players. You don't have to listen to the fans, You're not standing by 60 sweaty kids on the sideline. You got probably 6 standing around you. And, those 6 kids are, they're your buddies that whole 48 minutes that you're out there. So
I'll be honest, you can hear the passion in your voice.
Oh yeah,
how you love the position.
It's the greatest position ever. I mean, I work some white hats here and there, but I mean, really, it's nothing like being in the middle, and knowing that your performance and how you work will reflect on your crew. Because if you're busting your tail in the middle, doing what you need to, it kind of heightens your crew's awareness, and it maximizes their efforts, because they're looking inside like, man, Leonard's working his tail off. I need to do that out here too, or as a back judge, or an R. He's going to appreciate you, because he gets stand back there, look pretty, make his signals, and wind the clock while you're doing all the work. So, and it makes your crew look amazing.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of kid with each other within our crew about who has the toughest position, but umpires really do a lot of work in there, a lot of communication, a lot of dead ball officiating, preventive officiating, and every position on the field is important, and we all have a lot that we need to do pre-game, pre-snap, and dead ball. So, I mean, you really dove deep tonight into a lot of mechanics, a lot of communication stuff. So we really appreciate your time and effort you gave us tonight, and the explanation that you gave to the high school officials. We really don't know where you find the time to do all these sports and officiating year round. There's a lot of work, especially a lot of work to learn. Your mechanics in 3 or 4 different states at 2 or 3 different levels from high school to college, because some states have different philosophies, different mechanics and stuff like that. So there's been a lot of time that it seems like you put into to learn umpire in different areas of the country. So we really appreciate you coming on and expanding and giving back and sharing your knowledge at the umpire position.
Hey, I appreciate it, and really, it's not work if you're passionate about it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a joy to do this, have this avocation, and really appreciate you guys inviting me and letting me talk umpire mechanics, because it's a passion, and I could probably wait another 45 minutes to an hour if I wanted to. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we could talk all night on any position, just because there's just so much to talk about. But again, thank you on behalf of the New Mexico Officials Association, Diana Pappas's office. She will be listening in to the recording, and the New Mexico football officials. They really appreciate every clinician that comes on and explains some of the things that you won't find in any books anywhere, any rule books or mechanics or philosophies, and those little nuggets, and just learning a kid's name, just to build that rapport, just to make the game flow a little bit smoother. So again, thank you. We have quite a few of these recordings to get us through the winter and through the holiday season. We appreciate you spending another Saturday with us, and we'll talk to you next week. And good luck on the field, Leonard.
Thank you, Leonard. We'll see you on the field. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good week, all. We'll see you next Saturday.